Hello and welcome to Pandora FMS. In today's video, we'll see service maps in Pandora FMS console. Before beginning, we need to understand what the services in Pandora FMS are or what you may use them for. They are a tool that allows us to make logical groupings such as models, agents, or other services. They are based on the fact that they provide monitoring on a common element, service, or infrastructure, as well as being able to assign importance to each component through a weight system. A simple example that we can try would be to create a service for models that monitor the operation of processes such as Apache, MySQL, Tentacle, and Pandora Server. This service, made up of 4 components, can help us to reflect the state of the operation of Pandora FMS server, encompassing different points such as the operation of the database, the operation of the web console, Tentacle for data transfer or reception, and the server for data processing. We will go back to this example later on, and for now we will move on to the console to continue. To create a service, go to the Operation, Topology Map, Services, Service Tree view, and in this view the services you created will appear. Since you don't have one by default, it appears empty. We'll create one by clicking on Create a Service. The service creation form will open and you will need to fill in certain fields. The most important ones, as they are mandatory, are the name of the service, its description, the group it will belong to, and the agent to store its data. This agent can be a previously existing agent that has other monitoring data, or an agent that you create in the console at the moment for the sole purpose of storing the data from this service. In addition, you may choose the type of service according to whether you want it to be smart or manual. The difference between these terms is that in smart mode, all service elements will have the same weight over a maximum possible of 100%. If there are 4 elements, each one will have a maximum weight in the service of 25%. However, it will also allow you to add elements to the service automatically dynamically. Instead, with manual mode, you may assign a custom weight to each item as you consider that a certain component is more or less important to the overall service operation. In the previous example about Pandora FMS server components, it would make more sense to use a manual service, because even if Apache stops working, if MySQL, Tentacle, and Pandora FMS server itself continue to operate, the environment can continue monitoring seamlessly. We see that if you choose between both mode types, the critical and warning state selectors change. This is due to what was previously discussed. With the smart mode, the maximum threshold for the whole service will be 100%, and you may choose a specific percentage threshold from which the service will be in warning status or in critical status. With manual mode, it's pretty much the same, only the values will have to make sense compared to the elements you add. We will get to this later on. For the purposes of the video, we will leave it the smart type. Let's continue to look up the options provided by the creation form. Below, there's a series of service configuration tokens. These are for the service to count unknown items as critical, bookmark the service, enable the quiet mode, asynchronous mode, cascade protection, and finally to be able to display the sunburst map or horizontal tree map by default. Now if you go back to the top, you will see that on the right you find the options to activate SLA calculation as well as the alerts, where you may choose which template to use according to the service status or also the SLA critical status. Once you configure everything you wish for your service, you may click Create and then you may start creating items. For that, you will have 2 options, manual creation or the wizard. From the wizard, you may create, edit, or delete items more quickly, being able to add agents, modules, and even other services. In manual creation, you may also add these elements, but with the limitation of being one by one. Add the models mentioned previously for creating Pandora FMS service using the wizard. Once selected, just click Add Selected and Add Elements. If you go to the service map views, where you may select whether you wish to see the service in tree, sunburst, or horizontal tree format view surface, or configure elements, you may see the models that we added. In the configuration view, you may see columns that indicate the weight of the element according to the state it is in. We see that they all have the same percentage according to the state and therefore the same weight. This is due to the smart mode. where each element has the same weight or importance on the surface. To better understand the weight, by default in a normal state, all the elements have a weight of 0. This one being higher than 0 when it changes to warning or critical state. In our case, with the goal of the service, the smart mode would not be helpful since we consider that it is much more important to have MySQL database operational than Apache, for example. You may configure the service to operate in manual mode and then modify the weight of the items. We will grant a critical threshold of 160 warning. Now we will modify the weights of the elements to fit our needs. As MySQL and Pandora FMS elements are the most crucial, we'll give them critical weights equal to or higher than the critical threshold of the service. And the same will happen with the warning weights. As for Apache and Tentacle, we could grant lower weights. In this case, if MySQL modules or Pandora FMS server were to change to critical state, they would provide the service with a weight above the critical threshold configured in the service itself, so the general state of the service will become critical. If, for example, the Tentacle element were to go into critical state, as its critical weight is higher than the warning threshold of the service, but lower than the critical threshold, the general state of the service will be warning. We already took a general look at services in the absence of seeing a list of them. You may go to the View List of Services and you may see the services created. In addition, you will have other views such as the Service Table view that will show the services in a box format with the color according to its status. The Service Tree view, where you may see the tree view of all the services and their items, or the Service Creation or Deletion wizard. And with that, we're done with services. Before finishing, it should be noted that in dashboards or visual consoles, you may create elements related to the services you have in the environment. And that was it for today's video. Don't forget it, if you like the video, smile, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Any suggestions, questions, or ideas, please leave them in the comments below. Remember that if you're interested in trying Pandora FMS Enterprise, you may contact us to get a free 30-day trial. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope to see you on social media and in future learning videos.